All right, everybody. This is me, Andreas Diaz, and Will I are back here again. Of course, we're doing the Black Widow spoiler cast. So what that means is, do not listen to this podcast if you haven't seen this movie. We are going to spoil this film. So just turn off this podcast and come back later when you see the film for the first time or the second time, like Will has. So jealous of him, and enjoy this podcast. So, Will, it's been we finally got a movie in the MCU. Finally. So 2 years. This is the 24th film, and of course, finally getting a Black Widow film for how many years? 10 years, finally. And so I want to kind of give you, like, before we get into spoilers, give me your best thing you like about this film, and then afterwards, tell me about your worst thing you did not like about this film.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. The best, and I think this is a very popular opinion, Yelena
Yes.
was great.
Mm-hmm.
We're very excited to see more of her. For the worst, I was kind of, I mean, there were a lot of like nitpicky things that I have with the movie, but I don't know. I think I just wanted more from Taskmaster.
Yeah. We'll get to that because I mean, it's kind of like the Mandarin twist. I don't know you've been keeping up, but I think everyone does not like this version of Taskmaster. We'll discuss that in the podcast. Oh my god. And then is there anything else you want? That's it.
Oh, if I had to pick one, you know. Yeah. Well, I also really, I'll pick two. I didn't like the bad science behind the mind control.
Oh,
it really bothered me. So there's chemicals that regulate how people behave, right?
Yes.
How are they controlling chemicals from a computer? That doesn't make any sense to me. Because there's no aside from Taskmaster, there was no chip in their brain that could regulate the chemicals, which would make more sense. It was just chemicals.
Yeah.
And then what was the other thing similar to that? The pheromones at the end. I mean, pheromones wouldn't work that way first.
Oh god.
It was really frustrating. Yeah.
For me, I kind of wish for me, I think it's because the story is trying to project how the use of women, and how the main character Draco is this very misogynist, sadistic scientist, is using these women for
I liked a lot about the story and the movie. There were specific things that I have nitpicks about. There were plenty of them. I did like the idea of Dreykov as this gross, misogynistic, manipulative man, pulling the strings and using the widows as puppets. It was a good idea for a villain. It's just the specific implementation of how he did it was, I think, poorly designed.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned I mentioned constantly about Heavy Spoilers, the YouTube channel,
Mhm.
and he mentioned he kind of wished, instead of using the first one, the mind control thing for the Black Widows, um, to like make like they should been have this like awakening because of one of their Black Widows had turned against the organization of the Red Room, right? And that's why Elena and got out of that mind control because he saw her sister, being adventure stuff. Like that should have been the thing that got her out of that system, not the red um, dust formula that wakes them up. So I feel like they shouldn't have gone in that direction. And then for me, that could have made the pheromones that he had so he can stop the Black Widows for attacking him much more believable and like something that we weren't expecting. And that's the thing about it. It's like my thing about this film is like it telegraphs so much and like it never allows its audience to like learn it in a visual way. And like because like the Rachel Weisz character talked about that to Natasha about how he had pheromones, and it's like why you did that. Like that could have been like a very good twist.
Mhm.
And like uh, uh, I don't want to go into because I have my worst thing, and that involves with that whole scene. Anyway, anything else you want to talk about before I go to my best thing, worst thing?
I'll do another best thing because
Okay,
I did like the movie,
yeah,
so I don't want it to sound like I didn't like it.
no, I understand.
The um, I really liked like all of the characters in her family. I liked
Yes.
the mom. I liked Red Guardian. I
Oh
thought he
my
was
god.
really funny and like genuinely funny and not just like
No.
normal Marvel quip funny. I thought a lot of the jokes involving him and Elena like landed really well.
Yes. Oh my god. I love Dave Harbour. He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's like the second best after Elena. He's amazing. I agree with you. I love the family aspect. That's like my favorite thing about this film. Is the family themes of this film, and but I feel like they're probably the best supporting cast we have in a Marvel film we have since. I feel like, um, yeah, I really appreciate that, and there were great moments with that because I love the American Pie scene with Dave Harbour
Yeah.
and the
That's
lamb. Oh my god, really great scene. Amazing. My favorite, I will say, my favorite line from Dave Harbour was him talking to Natasha and say like, "Did my enemy Captain America talk about me?" Like that whole thing made me laugh. Oh my god, it was so funny. And him trying his costume, which we saw in the trailers, but like here was still funny, and like, oh my god, like it reminded me of The Incredibles. Like if you remember in the teaser trailer for The Incredibles, where like Mr. Incredible was trying to put his suit on, and like he couldn't get his belt on.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. And were there other best things besides the family themes and thematic relationships that they close? What were the other best things that you like about this film?
Yeah. I don't know. There were some cool like twists in the writing. Like I really liked the scene where like Nat revealed that she had been trying to get Dracov to break her nose so she couldn't be affected by the pheromones. She was like you couldn't punch me hard enough, so I'm gonna have to do it myself. And then she breaks her own nose. I thought that was good because I was kind of waiting for her to be like, "You broke my nose when you were punching me." Like, but just the fact that he like wasn't strong enough to do that is hilarious, and like a great subversion of the expectation that it set up.
Yeah. My favorite subversion was I thought Rachel Weisz was the daughter of Dreykov, and then it didn't, and it was a Natasha. Like they did like the switcheroo moment. Like uh, was it Melina took
Mhm.
over Natasha with the white suit, and then Natasha took over the black suit, and like she pretended to be her.
Yeah, it was.
So it can, like that for me was one of my favorite moments because I was expecting that one.
Hmm.
That reminded me like a lot of the Mission Impossible movies when every time Ethan Hunt tried to trick the enemies and like he
Yeah.
disguised as one of them or whatever
Hmm.
government person. Like that moment reminded me of Mission Impossible and reminded me a lot of like the spy stuff.
Yeah, same. It was nice to see Black Widow like be a spy instead of just being like someone who
Yeah.
punches. Yeah. And I agree with the Mission Impossible thing. Like I know when they revealed that and then they cut back to them planning that in
Yes.
the escape room, I saw like the like mannequin heads in the background, and it reminded me of the machine that they use in the Mission Impossible movies to make the masks.
Oh yes, that's true. Yeah. And then like a cool Easter egg. That's how if it's like a very quick with also with those heads it looked exactly like the masks of Iron Mandarin, a villain from the Black Widow comics, and that's how Rachel Weisz's character looked like in the comics.
Mm.
It's like how it because it looks like the shape of the mask, and like it was a very cool nod to her character in
Yeah.
the comics. And it's the same technology we've seen throughout the MCU from Winter Soldier and then from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where Sharon Carter using that technology.
Hmm.
I like that they brought that back. I like that's their like mask off, like like Mission Impossible has their plastic, like their mask um, uh, technology, and I like how Marvel has their own in a very like digital way.
Hmm.
So I really like that. Okay, can I say my best and worst thing?
Yeah, please.
Um, yeah. So I will straight out say, my favorite character in the Marvel universe has been Iron Man, but my second favorite will always been Black Widow. I think she's one of my favorite characters in both the movies and in the comic books, and she's the one character after Iron Man I've been collecting consistent. So of course I wanted the Black Widow movie, and so I will say, seeing the film and like I will say, um, it's one of the best action, um, adrenaline films I've seen in a while. I was very impressed how just action packed it was. I think the action scenes were so spectacularly great. My favorite scene was the Budapest car chase. I felt like that was so concentrically well done by
Mhm.
the filmmakers, and I felt like the fight, uh, the fight scenes, the fight choreography were very much like the Winter Soldier. Those were my favorite scenes. I I think my favorite scene out of that was the Natasha versus Elena in that small department,
Hmm.
doing the trust thing. That was one of my favorite fight choreo scenes ever I've seen in my life. So I love that they really did not pull their strings in this film. So that was for me the most impressive thing about that. Um, and then I would say second best thing about this film was the character uh, relationship and interactions one another. I love Elena. She's definitely the best character about this film. I love her. Um, Character in this movie. I'm very excited for it to moving forward, especially with the post credit scene we have towards the end of the film. And I think uh, her relationship with Natasha was very interesting, and like it makes sense why she you know didn't like Natasha, but like also love her, and like I love that sisterly bond they had, and I think that was consistent out the film, and I think the family thing was the best thing about this film. They were very consistent about that. And I would say this is way better than Captain Marvel. I think this film had a identity they had, and compared to Captain Marvel, where this felt like about the regrets. Like it was all about like how Natasha dark past come to haunt her again,
Mhm.
and some regrets you did before, stuff the Red Room did to them. Like, I really like that. Like, this felt more mature than Captain Marvel or any of the more like lighter MCU films. Really appreciate that. I liked how this film really had an identity and a vision that they stuck by. Now, fortunately, worst thing about this film for me was the third act. I feel like the third act went too much like a superhero film,
Mhm.
and some of the story beats just did not hit right. You mentioned, the pheromones, which I like. I think I think I know too much Black Widow stuff. For me, I because like there's some Black Widow rogues that are evil, and I kind of wish we had someone besides Drago and Taskmaster to represent. There's some Black Widows that are actually for evil, and I don't know where we're ever going to touch about that, because like Elaine was a villain in the comics, and here they change it
Mhm.
to be a hero, which I'm fine with because there's other Black Widow villains
Yeah.
in the Red Room that can pop on one time. Like the whole third act was so messy. I was so unimpressed about the this like dark Helicare version of of this Red Room.
Yeah.
Like it felt too much like it was like a very recycle, and like very much like Winter Soldier, or like a little bit of the mid section of the Adventures,
Yeah.
and I didn't like that. I felt like it was way too much CGI. I felt like they shouldn't be more grounded,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
just stick with the lamb.
Yeah. I agree.
I I was surprised how much we just went to superior mode. Like, that really bothered me.
Mhm.
Um, and I will say the second worst thing I had was like was the Taskmaster twist.
Mhm.
That's one that I think a lot of people did not like, and I will say I don't mind the whole gender bend and all that. My problem
Mhm.
was the twist came like too late. The twist came far too late, and it was not impactful. I think the
Yeah.
filmmakers did. What do you think about that, Will? Because I like.
Yeah, I agree. It came too late. We also like. I feel like we didn't spend enough time focusing on like how Nat felt about having to kill Dracov's daughter.
Yeah,
Like, because that would cause like a more of an emotional impact if that had been like a focus, or she like regretted doing that, and then she like learns that she's still alive and she can save her. Like, that would be a better emotional story for their conflict. Whereas this, it was like you could tell that all that was there, but they didn't like focus on it at all. So it didn't really mean anything when we watched it play out. Um, and also, like, I don't understand why at the very end, when Natasha like frees her, like she uses the gas and frees her. Like, I get why her first thing is to be like, oh, like, is my dad gone? Because her dad did like untold terrible things to her. But I don't understand why she was cool with Natasha now.
well,
Like, this is still the person that blew you up, like, knowingly.
yeah,
And she's like, oh, guess we're done fighting.
yeah, and
Like, I would still be mad.
I it felt too much like an anticlimactic
Yeah,
scene. Like the
yeah,
whole thing
yeah,
was anticlimactic. Like
yeah.
I just I agreed. Well, and
They should have kept fighting when she was freed.
yes, I agree. And um, someone mentioned like it could have been better if she was like aware instead of being controlled. I felt like
Yeah. Oh, that would have been
like
so much better. Like, the gas goes off, and then now it's like, you're free now. And she's like, I was never mind controlled, and they keep fighting. That would be better.
yeah, and like it could have been so much better
Yeah.
than just like being mind control. And like and my like this film has like a lot of venomous ideas, which I'm fine with.
Mhm.
And this really has like that Birds of Prey and like Captain Marvel like mentality, and how like the man is bad and then, like, the female is good, and I'm okay with that, but like you can't force that and like in your story, and like because it feels too convenient, or like it doesn't feel believable, and I feel like the Taskmaster reveal just didn't make sense. Well, and like I get what Kate was doing, the director. It was like the dark past coming to bite Natasha again,
Right. But
and
then it didn't really.
yeah, like it was just really awkward.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and it reminded me too much like Strikers. Like I don't know, you have this like it reminded me too much of X2, where like Stryker was controlling his son,
Hmm.
Jason.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot like that, but like far effective, and it like it was so like a cartoon. It was laughable.
Yeah.
Like when she took off her mask, like her body was like it was so weird. Like and the costume of Taskmaster was also not good. I didn't like
Oh,
it.
I liked it, but
Oh, so you liked it?
I liked the look of her. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Um, I like
but
I don't like I don't care for it, like I don't need it to be comic accurate. Like some people are talking about in the online. For
mhm.
me, it was weird to like it was like because like we find out she was a female. Like I question like how is that costume fit with her? Like you know what I mean? Like
I don't know. I mean, the actress was wearing it, so it did fit. Um, and I was fine with it.
yeah, I and then also I mentioned like there was also like oh, I didn't know they didn't um also like they didn't try to put Taskmaster to mimic many more superheroes we
Yeah,
recognize.
yeah.
Like
I That was another problem I had with Taskmaster. Like they would do like one thing that someone else did, and then they would never go back to it, and it didn't feel like she was like actually mimicking their fighting styles. It just felt like she was doing their like signature move once.
yeah, it was weird. I yeah it was just like that whole twist did not work for me in that whole film. I feel like the third act was completely rushed. Like it didn't feel fit with the two acts we had,
Yeah.
and I I question why. And 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 some people compared this to the Winter Soldier. Like Taskmaster feels so much like the Winter Soldier. Like I don't know if you have that opinion. Like she's mind controlled. Like she's working with this dark organization and the shadows.
Yeah. There's a lot of similarities.
Yeah. Um. And then the worst thing I don't like when Marvel does it, or like studio does it, they hire a famous actress or actor, and why you pick that for this like very minor role?
Hmm. Well, maybe they're hoping to like bring her back.
That's the thing. Like I was gonna say when you mentioned the whole mind control thing, like why she's fine, like it should come back. But
Yeah, but
like
I feel like because of how they set her up in this movie, if she was gonna come back, it'd be like as a hero. Which I don't want Taskmaster to be a hero. I don't want a redemption arc. I think Taskmaster is the most interesting when it's like a mercenary that's fighting the heroes with their like fighting styles. You know?
I yeah I mean like yeah this yeah that like that whole Taskmaster thing was just and I guess we're not gonna get into the villains. Like we're talking about like a lot like Taskmaster. What about Draco as the villain? What you thought about him?
He was
Um,
alright. I mean, he
yeah,
wasn't like super interesting, but it did feel. The movie reminded me a lot of like the Bourne movies.
yes, it did.
There was like watered down like superhero Bourne, which I like because I love the Bourne movies, but I wish it had tried to be more like them than it was, because it felt like they like had all the parts there for a Bourne movie, and then we're like, oh, but we have to make it a superhero movie, so let's have like quippy dialogue and a huge CGI third act.
Yeah.
And I think that detracted from it a little bit.
Well, for me, I I think they need to know what kind of spy film they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there were so many they did here. You mentioned the Bourne films, right? This also has the Bond Roger Moore feel as well. Like like the whole third act reminds me of like Moonraker, and how ironic they reference Moonraker in this film. Uh, Here, and like it could have gone the super spy superhero film, like the Bond films happen, and then they have the Mission Impossible thing where you get like you thought this is how they're going to be, but then it turns out oh no, this is the plan of the team or the person, like
Mm-hmm.
orchestrating the plan right now, like Ethan getting to this building, or tricking the prime minister about the sixth and the fifth film, like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got also the frame, the 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 wanted and runaway fugitive plot line with Black Widow, and and you can honestly done that instead of these other things. And I will say, I will mention like a third problem I have with this film is there's so much going on in this film. I I feel like sometimes Natasha gets lost, or like it isn't the Natasha film. It feels like more like a setup for this. Like this feels like more like a Liam film than a Natasha. And then it's more like a like setting up the Thunderbolt film, with Ross here. And then like we're setting up other like new villain, like with Taskmaster. Like there was so much that were going on here. It didn't feel like it was Natasha's story or like any like that, in my opinion. And like I don't know if you felt that way, because there was so much they had in this film, and I feel like there wasn't like a consistent or like a commitment of what kind of spy film they wanted to be. Excuse me. I don't know if you had that, Will, because that was my problem with the Black Widow film.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And someone, I was checking the video I saw yesterday. The twist with Taskmaster, they couldn't done the other way where the Taskmaster could have been Black Widow's mother. Like,
Mm.
I couldn't, like, I meant, like, because when it comes to mention it could be a great twist, because it could have been dark how, because we hear from Draco that how the mother, or from Leah, that the mother was looking for her, and she was taken, out by
Right.
the Red Room, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it could have been a great twist that she became one of one of the greatest assassins. Turns out to be one of uh, the greatest assassin's mother, and like that could have been a great twist. But that didn't happen, unfortunately. I thought that could have been good potential, because we never we never learn about Natasha's parents in this film. Like we never get like a confirmation.
Right.
And there's
I-
one to, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. The entire time I was watching the movie and they mentioned her parents, I was trying to remember what Red Skull calls her when they're on Vormir, because
Oh,
it's like daughter of some man's name, and I couldn't remember what the name was. Um,
I will check this right now, because I saw Endgame yesterday. Actually, funny
Okay.
enough, I actually saw the scene with that, and I because there's like a deleted scene from um in Civil War, where she talked about her parents, and like she visited their grave, And
Oh,
yeah, and I feel like that shouldn't be in that film because that was such a great scene. But uh, but unfortunately, they cut it out.
I just looked up the script.
Okay,
Um, Daughter of Ivan.
okay,
So yeah, just a character that's not referenced at all in the movie.
yeah.
Um,
And then speaking of reference, they they made the twist also be connected to the line that Loki did in the first Avengers, and like,
yeah,
and I feel like that was so unnecessary, and
it felt a
like,
little forced.
yeah, and like, at first I'm like, okay, and then when I was doing research, I was like, oh really? That's what was such a big deal. Like I didn't understand that. Like um I guess we're kind of getting into nitpicks here, but like, what was the other things you didn't like for this film? Because um I just I guess I want to mention this. And what you think about this? Well, I feel like Rich Rice's character was also not like well developed. I feel like she like I think the film wasted her in this film. I feel like she didn't do enough, and I
Yeah,
was kind of disappointed because I really like Rachel Weisz as a character, as an actress, and I
yeah,
felt
me
like,
too.
and I was very disappointed that she didn't do much. Despite she had great lines, I do like.
Yeah, I her line toward the end, which is like I'm clearly injured,
Yes,
was great. I'm I was really happy that they didn't kill any of the family members, so they can still appear in other things. Because I'd like to have her show up in something later,
yes,
just to
I'm
get
very
more
happy.
development. Yeah,
Yeah, I totally
because
agree.
I agree.
Yeah, I was actually very happy about that. Um, yeah, and then I mentioned before I thought like she could have been actually a great villain if
Hmm.
they, if I saw that, twist they did
Hmm.
with the switch off faces. Um, yeah, and then I guess what was the other worst thing? And then we got the other one of Natasha's contact, Rick Mason. That's his name.
Yeah, Rick Mason.
Like, why we need him here?
I
Like,
don't. Yeah.
he was always. It's funny. He was like the one guy that everyone was thinking he was Taskmaster, and
Mm.
and it didn't.
Yeah, he was just some dude.
Yeah, he was some dude, and I, yeah, and I guess I want to talk now the bigger picture. Do you think it was necessary to put this? Well, I mean, let's in hindsight about what happened to Natasha in Endgame, you thought this was a good way to tell it in a prequel way, like saying it between Civil War and Infinity War. Like, did you feel like because
I don't
I
know. It, this movie should have come out between Civil War and Infinity War.
yes,
Um, yeah, like knowing that she dies kind of ruins a lot of the emotional arc that she went through in this movie.
yeah,
Um, like, oh hey, I found my sister and we're bonding, and now I'm gonna not talk to her for
those 5 years,
yeah, and then die.
yeah, that
Okay.
was weird. Um, yeah,
And it doesn't really work as like a standalone story. Like she didn't really get a great ending in this movie.
no,
Like it ends, and then instead of her getting like a nice conclusion, she's like, "Well, gotta go be in Infinity War now." Um,
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I think it would have been better if it had come out before Infinity War, and if it had like not felt like they were just trying to tie up a bunch of loose ends with the character.
yeah. That was my most disappointing thing. Like they didn't like set up that feel or the presence that we know that Tasha died in Endgame,
Right.
or really addressing the criticisms of Endgame about her death, because a lot of people complain her death was so like undercut because
Yeah.
of Tony's death, but also Steve leaving, as Captain America. Like, and I can't believe they didn't thought about that. And like, and it just goes to my point. They rushed the whole third act, and like it feels so jarring. You know,
Mhm.
I just can't believe it. Yeah, I was talking to my friends when I saw this. We like my of course the film critic Miss Flamingo mentioned like it should have been released between after Civil War, like in Phase 3, before Captain Marvel, and she likes this more than Captain Marvel. And I would say like despite our negatives, I think this movie was a much better female superhero movie over Captain Marvel. I feel like you know
Yeah, I mean,
it,
I didn't really like Captain Marvel that much.
Yeah.
But I did like this movie, so I agree.
Yeah. And I feel like at least this was just I would say like it actually had a strong first act and second act,
Mhm.
where that wasn't with Captain Marvel, because I feel like their three acts was just very weak. Like
Yeah, I was bored the whole time when I was watching Captain Marvel.
yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
this movie, I was like really into it
yeah,
the whole time, even if I had criticisms.
yeah. It's kind of like the first one movie. Like their first two acts was great,
Yeah,
and then the third act just kind of turns into like a superhero.
right. When it didn't need to, it would have been
Exactly,
better if it didn't. Yeah,
exactly. That's what happened here. And,
it is.
um, but like I don't know. Like I was gonna ask you something about like for me it was better in Wonder Woman compared to here for some reason, because over there the villains were like a little more over top, and like and also like I don't know, like because I knew, like, if you knew Wonder Woman, like you knew Ares was the villain, so
Yeah,
like and
I think I preferred the third act of Black Widow to the third act of Wonder Woman.
oh really,
Yeah,
okay,
I at least in Black Widow, the big CGI set piece was like fun to look at. I
uh
really liked the skydiving fight.
oh that's true.
It was too over the top, I think, for like what a spy movie should be, but it was still really like cool,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
true.
Um,
um,
Whereas the Ares fight was just so ridiculous.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and of course he was like saying like this like evil villain monologues,
yeah, and then
like
you
I'm gonna
had
destroy you.
Professor Lupin with a six pack. It was ridiculous. Um,
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Um, and I guess what else? Uh, there was was there other thing? I guess I I guess I want to talk about the humor. Like, was this the best humor for the MCU?
I don't know if I would say it was the best humor. I think
Okay.
for like a movie that was on the serious side, I think it did a very good job of balancing the humor with that.
Yeah. I like they didn't cut the drama
Yeah,
to a joke. That was something they actually did better compared to other MCU films.
yeah.
Um, I guess there was one joke that like did kind of bother me, was like they brought back the Age of Ultron thing of like they cannot have kids.
Oh, I really liked. I know what you're talking about. I
Yeah.
liked that part.
Really?
Not in Age of Ultron. I
No, no,
liked
no.
the scene in here where they're in the helicopter and they're like,
Yeah. I
yeah,
I, I like that scene, but I felt kind of uncomfortable with that. Like they made that joke about that. Like
I don't think it was a joke. I think it was just like the joke wasn't like, oh, this happened to them. The joke was like the guy Alexei made a really insensitive comment, and then they just like purposefully went into excruciating detail about the terrible thing that happened to them and their reproductive organs, so he would like be ashamed and uncomfortable. So like his reaction to what happened to them was the funny part.
Okay, that's true. I like that scene. But like it was kind of like I was kind of surprised we brought that back in this film.
Yeah, well, I think they didn't want to like retcon it, you know.
No, I guess so. Yeah. But at least Elena was saying that. I think she sold that and like she did so well. I guess I guess what was like your favorite joke? Like what made you laugh out loud?
I think when Red Guardian like was comforting Yelena in the bedroom.
Yes.
And she calls him the Crimson Dynamo.
I know
and
that.
Just David Harbour's acting, when you can like see the pain on his face where he's like, I know I shouldn't correct her, but I really need to, and he waits so long and then he still says it.
Yes. Oh my god, it was one. And for me, as an Iron Man fan, it was so great to bring up Chris and Dynamo.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my god, I love that. Oh my god. Yeah, and I guess to tell my favorite, like the thing that made me laugh out loud was Elena's jacket. She mentioned like, oh my god, look how so many like zippers and like, oh my god, that made me laugh so hard. And her like hearing Natasha saying, hey, it looks good, or like one of those faces, and like she was like, I know, right? And like, oh god, it was so sweet and it was so funny. One of my favorite scenes, and of course the pose, running gag, that was still funny. Oh my god, like Elena criticizing Natasha, her being a poser, and then her towards the end doing the pose as well, and like she like shakes off like, oh my god, that was so great. I guess to kind of wrap things up, anything else you want to mention, Black Widow? Did we cover everything? I think.
We haven't talked about the post credits.
Oh yes, let's kind of get into that. So I like the post credit scene. I think it's one of the best. I am actually excited for Hawkeye now because of that, and
yeah,
so
this made me more excited for that too.
Yeah, and so and by the way, I love their like I kind of like we're connecting the Thunderbolts and with because her name is Solon, Maya Hydra here, and I really love her scene with Elena, and it's one of the best scenes. And I do have problems with the post credit scene of like we acknowledge Natasha's death here, and I didn't like that. I I I I just kind of wish we did like a first Avenger, like after the action we cut back and jump to like 2023, like after the blip, and like see the responses of the family and what happened to Romanoff. I feel like I feel like addressing Natasha's death in the post credit scene was just not right for me. I don't know if you have that feeling.
I was okay with it.
Okay. All right. She's gone now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So, what you thought about the post credit scene? Are you excited now with Hawkeye and development?
I mean, I really like the Contessa as a character. But just Julia Louis-Dreyfus playing a villain is fun. I love View, so It's like
Yeah.
very similar vibes to every character. And then I'm really excited about the dynamic of Yelena like going after Hawkeye. I
Yes.
wasn't expecting that, and I think that'll make me like way more excited for Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Because I was really expecting Hawkeye to just be like him training the new versions of Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Yeah, that's true. Um, yeah, it kind of parallels what happened to him and Natasha as well. Like he, met Natasha in a very, mission-oriented job, and then he was able to turn Natasha over. And I think we're going to do that as well with Elena in that series, maybe. So, which that's very cool parallels to the Black Widows. So that was great. Okay, well, is that really it for Black Widow? Like, did we cover everything? Oh my god!
I mean, we didn't talk about Ross really, but
yeah. I mean,
he was barely in the movie.
Yeah, and it just goes to my issues. Like they didn't it's after Civil War, but like it wasn't the fugitive kind of film.
Right. Yeah. Like for a world famous fugitive, she was just walking around in broad daylight a lot.
Yeah, that's weird. Like
yeah.
I like yeah, and like I kind of knew that they were not going to do that kind of story at all, really. And I guess last thing, were you happy they dressed Budapest? That's also another thing.
No.
Okay.
I have never understood why everyone was obsessed with that line.
I know.
Like it was a throwaway line to show that those characters had a past together. You don't need to explore every little thing that comes up. And I wasn't satisfied with the explanation that they gave. Like I didn't want it to just be this pivotal moment in their history. I wanted it to just be like a mysterious mission in their past.
Yeah.
It was more entertaining when it was just that. One of the things that really bothered me about this movie is they felt the need to like tie in every single hint of Natasha's past into one cohesive narrative. When she's lived a full life, you don't have to explain everything that she's ever said about her past in one movie.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I agreed. I kind of wish, like, I just wish the Hawkeye was in this film. Like, I feel like, like we could have done like a flashback of Budapest and like actually see that.
Yeah, I don't want to see. I don't understand why everyone was clamoring for that.
Yeah.
Like,
well, yeah. I think the problem is that we brought that back often in the series, from Avengers and then in Endgame and then. I
think it should have just been a one-off line in the first Avengers movie, because there was. I liked the line then, but everyone was like, "Oh, I want to see what happened in Budapest." Like, just let them have a past together. You don't need to see every single second of it.
Well. See, I can see where you're coming from. Will, my thing is I think for me is the whole Black Widow and Hawkeye relationship is very good, and
I'd like to have seen it then explored more. I just think you could do that with like a new story instead of exploring one thing that happened in their past they mentioned one time. Like
that's no. I kind of get what you're saying now. Yeah. But yeah. Well, and that's the problem. They did too much in this film. That's the thing. They were carving this, and then the line with Loki in the Avengers. Like we didn't need that as well.
Yeah. Again, it was every single like hint at her backstory. They felt the need to shoehorn into this movie.
Yeah.
when I think they could have just like expanded on some things and let the rest be like part of her, mysterious past. And it's fine if you don't have like answers to every single thing because she's a mysterious character, and
Yeah.
there's got to be something that you like don't know about her. Like I don't know, it felt over explained.
Yeah. And we didn't learn nothing like new about the Red Room. Also,
Mm-hmm.
like that was like that's also an issue I have with this film. It's like it isn't Natasha's film. It's like it's just a spin-off for for the next spin-offs.
Yeah, it felt like an excuse to have Natasha back first, and then it was like just an excuse to introduce Yelena.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I someone mentioned in the comments in one of these videos that like Marvel doesn't think through with these plans ahead, and like it was never planned. And I feel like I really feel like they didn't know. Like I don't think this team didn't know that Natasha was gonna die in Endgame. And like
they must have like
I mean, it's not
they,
because it was Greenlight before Endgame came out. That was the thing. It came out like it was Greenlight in 2018.
yeah, but they like
Um,
like Kevin Feige would have known,
yeah,
right? So like
I
I'm sure they knew she was going to die before they made this movie.
yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been set probably after Endgame.
Yeah. I really wanted that. You know, I, yeah, yeah, like that's. I think that's also the weird thing about this film. It also had way too much high expectations, and like I feel like this film didn't deliver on certain aspects that we want, and then the other ones they did was successful, like introducing new characters. Like they were good at that,
Mm-hmm.
and then expanding the Black Widow world, that was good, at least, I,
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like that. Yeah, this, like, it was weird when they announced this film, and then when we saw Endgame and her dying, it was always going to be tough for them to really justify this whole thing. And, like, the only, like, justification for this film is because we've been asking it, and they were like, okay, well, let's do it now, because Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel has been performing well, so we're confident it will do well. That's what happened, and I don't like that at all.
Yeah, well, I think like because of like Perlmutter, like this movie
Oh
that
yeah,
should have come out in like 2014 came out now,
yeah,
and it's really unfortunate because I think it, like I mean Scarlett Johansson like deserved to have this movie made.
yeah.
But
I agree.
now because of everything that like kept pushing it back, um, it feels like it's too late now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got a new Black Widow. I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
I I mean, I'm a little sad to see her go from this role.
Me too.
You know, like I know I'm also a fan of Scarlett Johansson's work. I mean,
She's incredible. Yeah.
yeah, I love Lost in Translation. That's my number one personal film
Mhm.
in my list, and her as well is third best, and then and like and my like my top best superhero films has been Civil War and Winter Soldier, and they're in my superhero list of Marvel as well.
Mhm.
And she's my favorite character, Black Widow. Her portrayal is like my number one favorite female in Marvel and MCU. And like I feel like Marvel hasn't treated her right, and
Yeah.
it's like they needed like a Wonder Woman, and it's like you can have your Wonder Woman. She doesn't have to be a superpowered one,
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Like, because I like cosmic stuff, but like I also like grounded and like low key superheroes like Daredevil and Spider-Man and Batman. Batman's my favorite because he's grounded and human. That's why I love Natasha. And I just don't get why they didn't, like, I don't get why Marvel Studios and Marvel in general try to commit her to be like the Trinity of Marvel, like with Iron Man and Captain America. I don't get that. I just don't get it because they think, like, I get Marvel doesn't have, like, I don't know you have this opinion, but I don't think Marvel has the best super female heroes like DC, but I think they have few that has potential, and I feel like Black Widow has that potential. Yeah. But to wrap things up, I will, like, closing thoughts. I think I'm happy they have another female superhero. I think this was better than Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 1984, and Captain Marvel. I think this was another great superhero female-centric film, and it gave me a lot of action, which I'm happy about. It has his misses, has his low lows, but like it also has the hits and highs, which is good. And I will say I highly recommend seeing it. It's actually theater-ready. My theater was packed. I don't know about you, Will, but
Same. Yeah, this is my first time going back to a movie since COVID. So,
oh really?
Yeah, it was very exciting.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this movie was perfect.
Yeah, no, it was exactly the one that I would like want to go back to the movies with. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So So as you hear from us folks, we highly recommend seeing the film in theaters, and it was a enjoyable ride, despite the flaws they had. Next week is the last episode of Loki, which is crazy. Are you excited, and you're gonna be also sad at the same time?
Yeah,
Oh my
very
God.
excited. We'll know how it ends in 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I will definitely be sad when it's over, especially since we won't get anything new until I guess Shang-Chi comes out next, right?
Yeah, and Venom as well.
Right. I'm at MCU stuff. So.
Yeah. You're gonna disclose Venom in this.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And also Disney Plus show. We confirmed that. Well, actually, we have the What If thing coming in August, so we have that.
I guess I'm thinking more like canon.
Yeah.
Like live action stuff, but yeah, there's more stuff coming up.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, from now, we're gonna have multiple superhero films in a month. Like, we have one gap as well. Like, we have this one, and then the next major superhero film is coming out in August. That's the Suicide Squad.
Right. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and then September we have 2 superhero films. That's, of course, Shang-Chi and Venom 2.
Okay.
And then nothing in October, and then the next one in November is Eternals. Yeah.
And then Spider-Man.
Yeah, which is in December.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
And then also around that time we're going to be getting Miss Marvel and Hawkeye. So
yeah,
very busy time of the year.
Yeah, which is good, which I'm happy about, because we need a lot of Marvel stuff. But yeah, that's crazy. And then What If is coming in August as well. So that's enough. Yeah, crazy. So at least we're getting back to the noble stuff now. So thank you, Will, for coming. This was a fun podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and this was probably the busiest week for us in terms of the Marvel Plus channel. It was fun. I'm happy we are kind of getting back to the noble things in terms of entertainment. So thank you, Will. I'm actually gonna be sad to discuss the final episode for Loki with you, but
Mhm.
but I'm happy we're gonna get to you more and discuss other Marvel things that we have a chance to talk about also. So
Yeah.
all right, everyone. So everyone, thank you for listening to this podcast. I know this was jam packed. This was a busy week for us, so I hope you guys enjoyed these two podcasts of Loki and Black Widow spoiler cast talk, and we'll be back in next Sunday for the series finale of Loki. Of course, Loki is not ending. Of course, we know it's coming back for the second season, which is cool.
Mhm.
But enjoy you weekend, guys, and see you guys soon.